my arms crossed going, um, what's this all about? Like, I'm a science teacher. I don't know what this woo-woo stuff is. Anyway, I kind of surrendered to it and I said, let me give it a try. And I felt a release or a shift in me. And I went, I want to learn more. So I go home and I get on the computer and I go, how to meditate. Whoa, way too much information. I don't even know where to start. Then I get a book, how to meditate. First, close your eyes. Well, how am I supposed to read the book, right? And then someone said, watch this video. So they give me it was an old fashioned video to watch. And it said, stare at the carpet with your eyes half closed for 20 minutes. I was like, shoot me, I can't do that. No, no way. And so I ended up going to a retreat center in Massachusetts for a week that summer instead of going to camp. And the guy teaching this meditation workshop, I was nervous going in there. And we get in and the first thing they do is turn the lights down, put some music on, and everybody just danced for 10 minutes. It's like, oh, this is going to be okay. And the guy started talking about the biology and the physiology of the relaxation response and came at it from a really practical way. So out of all the people in the world I could have met, this is the one I needed to hear. And I felt myself shift. I felt my brain rewiring. And I went back to school teaching. I felt great. And then I felt myself starting to get overwhelmed again by trying to serve everyone and not take care of myself at all. And about 3 months into school, I went, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get sick again if I don't, take care of myself in this way. And I started sharing meditation with my students. So to back that up, around the time I was losing my mom, I started having health issues from stress and from taking care of everyone but myself. And it ended up the day my summer camp started in the hospital with pneumonia, when I thought I was the most important person in the world, that this camp of 500, 600 people under my direction could not run without me. And God went, oh, I'll show you. I'm going to give you pneumonia on the first day camp starts. And I ended up in the hospital. And I remember saying, it took me a long time to admit to this, oh my gosh, I get to rest. Oh my gosh, I get to rest. And meanwhile, I felt my spirit leaving my body and I held on. I said, I'm not ready. So I almost died from pneumonia. And all I could say was, oh gosh, I get to rest. And I went, something's wrong with how I'm living my life. And so when I went back to school and I started sharing with my students these tools, all I did was, let's give ourselves permission to rest for 1 minute every day. And they about melted into their desks, head down. Nobody lets us rest. And in our culture, it's not okay to rest, especially if you're a woman. Okay. And it's only okay to rest if you're sick or on vacation. And if you're on vacation and you happen to be taking little ones with you, it's not a rest, not a vacation. So my mission is to try to help people to rest. And I'm very passionate about people that are on the cancer journey themselves, as a patient, as a caregiver, as a survivor, because I saw what it was like for my mom to go through, and she didn't have a support wellness center like you guys do with Nancy Marks and with Randy's wonderful guidance. I wish we had had that. And, for me as a caregiver and a, grief-stricken daughter, it was very difficult. So what I'm going to try to do tonight is three major things to make it as practical as possible for you. I could just guide you in a meditation for the next 45 minutes, and that would be wonderful. But I want you to have tools to take with you if I'm not with you tomorrow. So the first part of the class is going to be how to trigger your body into a relaxation state really quickly. The middle part of the class is how to deal with emotions that arise during the holidays or anytime. And the third part will be how to indulge yourself in something that you find delicious or wonderful or that you crave. Because everyone's meditation practice is different and we try to individualize it. So quick hitters on calming your nervous system, how to deal with emotions that arise, and then how to meditate in a way that suits you and your personality and what you need. At any point, feel free to throw questions up in the chat room, or it's not a big group, feel free to raise your hand, or you can physically raise your hand. And there's also, I believe, a button that you can hit that says raise my hand. I think if you go to your little three dots in the up right, I think you can raise your hand, and that'll work too. So let's just start with this first exercise, and it's called soft eyes. And let's do it and see what happens. I want you to just check into your body first. Without trying to change it, just notice your tone, any tension, your breathing. Just become aware of your state of being right now, no matter the kind of day that you've had. And then take your eyes and leaving them open for right now, find something to look at or gaze at with the softness in your eyes. And you might say, what does that mean? You've got all these muscles around your eyes and in your eyes. Just soften them and open up your peripheral vision. That might be another way to consider it. Allow light to come in from the left and from the right, above and below, all directions. Feel free to let your eyes move from one place to another. And just keep that same softness or relaxed focus, like you're looking out over the ocean. And notice your breathing and your heart rate. Is it slowing down, getting faster, or staying the same just by softening your eyes? If it's slowed down, raise your hand. If it's gotten faster, raise your hand. If it's about stayed the same, raise your hand. Okay, for those of you that I can see, most of your hands went up to say, my heart rate just slowed down or my breathing slowed down. And all you did was cooperate with your biology. So I'm going to ask you to stay in that state of softness in your eyes as I explain what's happening, so you know how this works. When you're on, when you've got to get something done, when you're stressed, when you're scared, when you're on task, the muscles in your eyes are going to focus and you're going to go into this narrow focal point. And in that time frame, your heart rate's going to increase, your breathing is going to increase, your stress hormones are going to increase because you're engaged in doing or fighting or fleeing. It's normal. And when the job is done, when the stress is over, the danger is over, your eyes would naturally relax and now take in your surroundings and your horizon. So now you're aware of what's coming. And where do we spend most of our days? In a stress, anywhere from low level to high level, or we're on our phones or computers. So many of us, and I'm guilty of this too, is time for a break. I'm going to go to my phone, and we're staying in a hard focus on our eyes. And it's really amazing that people can feel this shift. If you happen to have a watch or some way to measure your heart rate, just check your heart rate and soften your eyes and watch your heart rate drop. Right? You're just cooperating with your biology. So when you're in a stressful mode, your environment, you detect something in your environment that's stressful, your brain tells your eyes to go into this hard focus. But what you did was reverse engineer it. You told your eyes to relax, and now a signal went from your eyes to your brain, and your brain goes, everything must be okay if we're not in a hard focus. And then your brain sends messages down to your heart and to your lungs and your stress hormones to say, hey, everything's okay. So the job in meditation is not to be in a calm, peaceful, peace, love, joy mode all the time, because that's hogwash. That's not possible. But to more gracefully go back and forth between being on and being relaxed, right? Action and rest, action and rest, action and rest. So we're looking for that more graceful back and forth. And this is one way to do it. I'll give you an example with this. I'm a business owner, and a lot of what I do is on the computer, meeting groups like you, but then also doing all my back-end administrative stuff. I'm on the computer too much, and it's very stressful on my body. So I'm right now in the midst of a cross-country trip, and I've been driving for 5 days, and I love driving. And part of it is I get to open my eyes and take in the surroundings, watching traffic, and my eyes are constantly moving, and there's a softness to them, unless like some truck pulls in front of me. And for me, it's very, very soothing on my nervous system not to be on my computer all day. And so it's natural. All right. So that's the first thing to do. And what's the first instruction you usually hear in meditation? Close your eyes. And in meditation, in this approach, it's called instinctive. Your eyes can be open or closed. And often, if you're in a group of people and they go, time to meditate, and the whole class goes, okay, and everyone slams their eyes shut and they have this like strained look on their face, and their foreheads are furrowed and everyone's really serious, when in reality, keep your eyes open as long as you'd like, and start with taking your surroundings. So maybe you're doing a breathing meditation or a gratitude meditation or a body scan. Try to start with this softness in your eyes. Our bodies like to be aware of our surroundings, and our eyes like to be soft, and it will calm our nervous system. Okay. I won't spend time on the second version today, but I'll put this in your wheelhouse. You can also do soft hearing. right? Open up your ears in all directions, and that can do the same thing. Okay, so that's exercise number 1 for a quick hitter. All right. You're getting ready to go have dinner with the relatives next week, and you're going, oh boy, this is going to be stressful, right? Soften your eyes as you're walking up the stairs to the porch. You might be in the middle of a conversation and feel your eyes get tense and just go, ooh, soften my eyes. Okay. And welcome that rhythm. The second thing we're going to do is something called soft breathing. And what I'd like you to do, you might already be a little calm because of what we've just done, but I'm going to have you count your breaths for 1 minute. Don't try to slow it down. Let's just count either the inhale or the exhale for 1 minute. If you lose count, no big deal. Okay. But if you can keep track to count, I will time you for a minute and I will start now. Count your breaths, either inhale or exhale, without trying to change it or slow it down in any way. And that's been a minute. So just make note of how many breaths you had. If you'd like, go ahead and throw that into the chat room, or just remember it or jot it down. 110, 11. I see numbers anywhere from, 5 to in the high 20s somewhere. Okay. So what we're going to do now is just breathe slower than you normally do, okay? And we're just going to have this feeling of breathing slower than you normally do. Oftentimes, meditation coaches give instructions like everybody inhale, everybody exhale. All right, again, inhale, exhale, and everybody's different. Or they'll say things like, take a deep breath. And a lot of people are going, what does that mean? Take a deep breath. Am I doing it right? Is that deep enough? This is stressing me out. And so we're going to just try this gentle instruction of breathe slower than you usually do. Okay. Without holding your breath, obviously. Okay. So just breathe slower than you normally do. And we'll stay with that for a little while, and then I'll have you count again. But for now, just breathe slower than you normally do. And as you're doing this, maybe you find something interesting about the breath. Maybe it's airflow, maybe it's your belly moving, maybe a sense of expansion. Who knows? If you find something that you enjoy, hang there for a little bit. Otherwise, just continue to breathe slower than you normally do. Okay, and now let's go ahead and count our breaths again. You might be getting a little bit more relaxed and you lose count. No worries if you do. So we're going to count again, either the inhale or the exhale, as you breathe slower than you normally do. And go ahead and start counting now, and I'll let you know when the minute is up. And that's been a minute. How many breaths did you have? Or what did you experience? Feel free to put something up in the chat room of how it changed. Or if you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand and share what that was like. Phyllis, 7, more relaxed. You went from 11 to a 7. Susan, almost in half there. Susan K, way down. It's pretty fascinating. Just by the language that you use is really important in meditation. And if the language makes you anxious or feel like, am I doing it right? Change the language. And so often slower breathing is better than saying, take a deep breath, right? Or what do I love about the breath? It's really a good cue. It can be before you get out of the car to go into the gathering next week. It can be in the middle of a tough conversation. You don't need 20 minutes on a cushion somewhere to help your body adjust. I was sharing this with somebody, an educator up in Boston recently, and she said, Bernie, my daughter's learning how to drive, and her husband was the co-pilot, and she was in the back seat, and she thought she was going to have a heart attack, you know, because they're on some learning how to merge on the highway, and she just started slowing her breathing, and she went from a high alert of almost a panic attack to being able to be a bit calmer and have a little bit more resilience in that situation. All right, so soft eyes and slow breathing are 2 ways. You can do this while you're pumping gas. You can do this while you're walking the dog, right? You can do this while you're doing the dishes. I'm going to slow my breathing down. And if you happen to have, like I said, a way to count your heart rate, you can also do that if you have one of those watches and just feel that happening, or just tune into your body and notice the difference. Okay. The third thing, we have a question. Not sure if eyes should be closed halfway for softness. Cindy, this is a great question. The style of meditation I teach, if we had like a full weekend, I could give you a ton of this, but I'm going to give you my best points here in this hour, is there are no rules, right? And so your eyes could be open or closed or halfway open or closed and then open and then open and then closed. It doesn't matter. You know, if you think of a natural meditative moment, for me, it's watching the waves at the beach, and then my eyes drift closed and I listen to the waves crash. Or I like to go for a walk in the woods and just see the leaves flickering on the trees. So my eyes are open the whole time. It's up to you what works and what doesn't work. So experiment and see. I would just advise, if you're going to close your eyes, don't slam them shut. Don't direct them to close. Say, hey, eyes, what do you want to do? When you're ready, go ahead and close. And then there'll be more of a softness or a sense of ease and an awareness of your surroundings first. We like to know what's around us. 20,000 years ago, when we were all living in small clans and small villages, really small villages, if we walked around like this, we'd be dead by the end of the day, right? We'd miss our dinner going by, or somebody would catch us, or, you know, whatever, another animal. And being aware is good. So no rules, all right? If you find yourself struggling in a meditation practice, ask yourself, what rule am I trying to follow? Does it make sense? And if not, we throw it out the window. For example, I have people say, Bernie, I'm coming to your class. Do I need to bring a yoga mat and sit on the floor? I just had knee surgery and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you don't have to, right? I rarely sit on the floor cross-legged because I have bad knees from basketball. So if I were new to meditation, I'd be like, ooh, this is hard because I can't sit cross-legged. What's the rule? Aren't you supposed to sit cross-legged? Well, that doesn't make sense for me, so I throw it out the window. You are natural meditators, every one of you, and you've had natural meditative moments. Rocking a baby, sitting in front of a fire, you know, savoring a good meal. And it's the same, this type of meditative practice is more natural than forced. It's more about what you crave versus discipline. Okay, so first thing, soft eyes. Second thing, softer breathing. The third one I'm going to give you, it sounds funny, but we're just going to do a humming exercise, okay? Humming is a way for you to soothe your nervous system. You have this nerve that runs from your cranial nerves down through it wanders. It's called a vagus nerve, and it innervates heart and lungs and your throat and your neck and your eyes and your ears. And when you hum, it soothes that nerve, okay? It causes you to go into rest and digest mode. It slows things down. I was a biology teacher, so I've got to bring in the biology. Animals communicate with each other by humming. It's a contact call to say everything's okay. giraffes hum, alpacas hum, humans hum. If someone's upset, they're not humming, right? So I call this reverse engineering. If you hum when you're happy and settled and calm, why not hum to tell your body that everything is okay? And the other thing about humming is the vibration can often loosen up sinuses if you've got any congestion in there. The other thing about humming is you can only hum when you're breathing out, when you're exhaling. And an exhale calms the nervous system more than an inhale does. All right. So humming is a great way to do a longer exhale. I'm going to have you guys try something here. I want you to inhale and squeeze, like whatever parts of the body you feel comfortable squeezing. So inhale and squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale and let it go. And now I want you to exhale and try to squeeze to that same degree. So exhale and try to squeeze to the same degree. Is it easier or harder on the exhale? Raise your hand if it's harder. Yeah, it's harder to exhale. It's harder to be tense when you're exhaling. So another good instruction is inhale longer than you exhale. Take long sighs, hum, sing. It soothes the nervous system. If you inhale and tense, you can tense harder than if you exhale and try to tense. When I play golf now, I exhale all the way through my swing and I stay relaxed and it's better off. When I'm coaching softball, this guy taught me this. Japanese baseball players are taught when they're fielding a ground ball to exhale as the ball comes to me. Do you ever see a little kid field a ground ball and the ball comes and they go, and they inhale and the ball bounces off of them? Being longer exhale is helping. So anyway, I'm digressing, but hopefully that's all supportive. Humming is a way to do a very long exhale, and it helps your vagus nerve stay in that rest and digest mode. You can do this in the car, you can do this in the shower, you can do this going for a walk, you can do this sitting in front of the TV. It's a way to calm the nervous system. So I'm just going to have you hum for a minute, and it can be a nice long hum and a pause in between. It can be shorter hums, it doesn't matter. And just feel the vibration. And also feel the quiet when you pause in between the hums. Okay, so go ahead and just hum for a minute, whatever that means for you. Okay, that's been about a minute. How did that feel? Okay. So people are like, wait, is this meditation? What are we doing, right? These are relaxation exercises to cooperate with your biology. So in my work, I'm a meditation coach, but I teach this range of relaxation techniques to get your nervous system shift gears more gracefully. And then if you find something you like to pay attention to, that's mindfulness, right? Oh, I'm mindful about the vibration in my throat from humming, or I'm mindful of my belly moving as I breathe, or I'm mindful of the pattern on the wall when I have soft eyes. When you're mindful, you're just paying attention to something right then and there. And then if you linger a little longer and kind of melt with it, that can be a meditative state where if we looked at your brain waves, we would see them slowing down. All right. And so often people go, time to meditate, slam the eyes closed, and I want to be in meditation right now. Why is this not working? But if you look at it as this kind of layers of relax the body, find something to be mindful of that you like and hang there, and then let yourself drift or melt with it. For example, when I'm on the beach and I'm listening to waves and I hear the waves, and all of a sudden I'm almost melted into the sand and I don't fall asleep, but I don't hear the waves, I don't know where I am. That's a deeper meditative state. The goal is not to get to a deeper meditative state. The goal is to use whatever range of that you need in that moment, or what you have time for, or what your body needs. Okay. So that's the first part of class tonight. Quick hitters, especially in this stressful holiday system, that you don't throttle somebody, is to calm the nervous system and more gracefully go back and forth between I'm on, I'm relaxed, I'm on, I'm relaxed. Okay, you have more control over your body than you realize if you know how your body works. Okay, any questions on that, the first segment? Yes, Cindy, go ahead. Can you unmute yourself here so I can, yeah, there we go.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm a little confused with the soft eyes. Do you focus on one thing and just look at it and relax? Is that what it is?
Yeah, good question. You can find like something to gaze at softly.
Right.
And then just kind of open up your vision and feel like versus this hard focus. I'm going to stare at that dot. It's more like, oh, I'm going to kind of gaze at that dot and I'm going to feel light coming in from all directions. And then if you go, oh, I feel like moving my eyes or my head, I'm going to go over here now and I'm going to relax. It's like you're sitting next to a lake and you're watching the water shimmer, and then you look at the trees, and then you're looking at the sun.
I got it now. Okay.
Got it. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. And I've given you guys 3 different exercises. You might love one, hate the other, and kind of like about the other one. Okay. So find what you like, tweak it, adjust it, or don't use it at all. Okay. Good question, Cindy. You're welcome. The next thing we're going to do is something called emotional resilience. And I'm going to guide you in this. And it's not a very long meditation. It might be 4 or 5 minutes, but it's emotional resilience. And what this is when we feel an emotion, it's important that we can name it, that we physically can feel it in our bodies. Emotions are fast and hardwired, and they're a way of sensing and responding to the world. And too much self-help out there says, manage your emotions, peace, love, joy, right? That's not how we're wired as human beings. We're meant to feel anger. We're meant to feel sadness. We're meant to feel great joy. We're meant to feel the full range. 3-year-olds know how to manage their emotions beautifully. They feel them, they express them, and then they go on with it, right? 1 minute they're laughing, the next minute they're screaming, the next minute they're crying, the next minute they're giddy. and we're taught as adults to, manage it. And people will call me and say, Berni, I'm really angry at so-and-so. Can you help me make the anger go away? And I'll say, no, but I can help you feel it, right? And there's a neuroanatomist called Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, and she says emotions take about 90 seconds to be felt in the body. And that's what allows them to move. When we stuff them down, they come out sideways later, maybe a lot later. And it's a skill to name an emotion and physically feel it in your body as you're able. Now, something might percolate up and you go, not right now. I'm on the middle of a Zoom call. I can't be crying over this. And you can say later, or you can say, I'm going to let it come up. Sometimes it's not okay for us to feel positive emotions even, right? I have a dear friend who's a Jesuit priest, and I was at his ordination and it was beautiful. And I happened to be in the part of the church where I could get communion from him the first time he gave communion. And as I'm walking up, I'm getting all teary-eyed. I'm thinking, why am I sad? What am I really feeling? And I'm like, okay, Berni, practice what you preach. Just what are you actually feeling? Physically feel the emotion and let it move. And it was amazing. I felt this joy welling up and came like right up through me. And the tears, I can't say this happens to everybody, but for me, the tears where this joy was coming up and I was pushing it down. It was really fascinating. It was just a really neat feeling. So it's a practice to feel the full range of an emotion. Now, you might just feel kind of serene tonight and be like, I don't get this. But next week, all of a sudden, you're going to have maybe a tougher emotion. And this is a practice that you can give it a try. Okay. The other thing about emotions is it's not culturally okay to express them the way we would normally do it 20,000 years ago, right? If you're in your little small village and somebody made you mad, you probably would have put them up against the tent or the teepee or the cabin or whatever you had and went, hey, I don't do that. And you can't do that now. And so we have to discharge energy in our imagination through movement, through dance. And meditation can be a safe place to do that. When it's culturally not okay to always express our emotions, and they're very primitive. So naming it, feeling it in your body and expressing them. And then we'll come out and we'll talk about how to nourish yourself. Okay. Emotions are our way of sensing and responding to the world. So just a quick example, if you are sad, your response is to kind of retreat within yourself and kind of have time to heal. If you feel joy, you feel more expansive and you want to move towards something. It's a way of sensing and responding to the world. So we welcome the full range. Okay, I could go on for hours about emotions, but really an important skill in meditation. Meditation's not a blissful bubble. It's a time to be with yourself, like being with a good friend. Okay. So Susan and I haven't seen each other since last year. Susan, how are you? What's going on? And Susan goes, Bernie, let me tell you what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And I say, Susan, shut up. I don't want to hear your thoughts. You're going to wait. Aren't we friends? And when we meditate, I might, Susan, Susan, what else is going on? Bernie, I'm happy about this, blah, blah, blah. Bernie, I'm sad about this, blah, blah, blah. And I say, Susan, shut up. I don't want to hear about your emotions. And you go, that's ridiculous. We're friends. But when we sit to meditate, we tell ourselves to shut up and to be happy. And then we're struggling because we feel like we're doing it wrong. So when you sit to meditate, you might cry, you might laugh, you might fall asleep. You're going to have thoughts about your to-do list. You're not monks, right? You have regular everyday lives, most of you. And I don't imagine you're, wearing the same outfit every day like a monk would. Monks' lives are very simple and they're beautiful. And if you've ever been around monks, where most, a lot of meditation traditions come from, they're beautiful, but they don't have lives like yours. So when you sit to meditate, you will have thoughts and you will have emotions. Welcome them like it's a good friend sitting there. All right, so let's go ahead and do this meditation. So let's start with the softness in your eyes. Find something to gaze at. Feel light come in from the left and the right with just an ease in your eyes. Your eyes can move if they want to. And if they want to close, let them do so of their own accord. So eyes open or closed, it's up to you. Check into yourself and ask, what emotion are you feeling right now? Or what emotion did you feel during the day? Maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3 words. Just give it a name. And then pause and check into your body. Move out of your head and into your physical body. And notice what sensations are in your body associated with this emotion. Is there heaviness in your heart, tightness in your chest, expansion in your lungs, a smile on your face, tension in your jaw? Get curious about those sensations without trying to fix or change them in any way. As you're able, welcome the sensations of the emotion. They might get a lot bigger. They might shift into something else. They might get weaker. They might disappear. Or they might be so subtle you don't feel anything. And we'll rest there for a little while. Get curious about the physical sensations of an emotion and track them without judgment. If you need to stay with that emotion a little longer, stay there. Or if you're ready, ask yourself if that emotion needs to be expressed in some way or moved in some way. Maybe you have this silent scream, or you're on mute and you have this out loud scream. Maybe you want to shake your fists. Maybe you want to imagine running or dancing or laughing. There are no taboos in your meditation time. If that emotion needs to be moved or expressed in some way, especially if it's not culturally okay to do it in person, feel free to explore this, or just simply sit with yourself a little longer. And then just gently bring yourself back from that if you're done releasing anything or shifting anything. If there's anything you want to share or comment on or raise your hand before we do the last segment, feel free to pipe in. I know that can be super personal. And sometimes people will say, Bernie, I didn't get it. I was kind of relaxed. I didn't feel anything. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was kind of indifferent. But next week, you're going to have a fight with somebody in your life, and you're going to drive to a park somewhere and be like, oh, and you're just going to be like, and you're going to actually name it, feel it, and discharge it. And then it doesn't have ownership. It doesn't hold on to you so long, screaming, pay attention to me. When we relax in meditation, often I talked about this damn analogy last year. This wall drops and stuff comes up to be felt. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, your to-do list. And we often see it as failure in quiet time and meditation time, when really it's a chance to move things. Okay. All right. If something arose during that you don't want to share with the group, Randy has my contact information that you can reach out to her and she'll put you in touch with me if you have questions or comments about that. So when you're in the moment, and with the holidays, when something stressful is happening, in the moment, you can just say, what emotion is that and where am I feeling it? Well, emotions are normal. Let me recognize it and feel it, physically feel it. And it might be after an event. And again, it can be happiness, it can be sadness, it can be the full range. And then at the end of this emotional resilience, if it was a good emotion, you can just linger there. I shouldn't say good. All emotions they're not good nor bad. They're just emotions. But emotions that are a little tough, that are good emotions, you might just linger with, that gratitude, that love, that peace. I'm going to linger there. Or it might be something that was tough and you go, I need something to nourish me now. This gracefully switching back and forth like we did with our eyes, it's a skill to be like, oh my gosh, I feel such anger right now, or anxiety or stress. What would I love to be with? So when my mom died, I was consumed by grief for a year and a half. My dad died about 4 years ago, and it was different because I would feel the grief much deeper and acknowledge it and say, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this pain of grief. And I would literally fall on the floor in a heap and just cry. And then I'd be like, okay, I want to go for a hike now. Life is good. I was able to gracefully go back and forth because I didn't stuff it down. I didn't wallow in it. I didn't repress it. I felt it. Now, there are times when you say, I should talk to my therapist. This is too much, or not right now, but feel it and then say what would nourish me. So the last exercise we're going to do is called drift, linger, and melt. Drift, linger, and melt. And this is the idea of let your awareness move, which is kind of the relaxation piece. Be aware of what's going on around you or within you. Linger, that's the mindfulness piece. And melt means just kind of hang with it, like you have nothing else to do. You're sitting on the beach, if the beach is your thing. The ownership piece is the drifting, means you get to pick what you want to pay attention to. So you could just be like, I'm going to let my awareness drift around the room. I haven't noticed that picture before. Maybe I'll spend some time there and I'll linger. All of a sudden I'm letting go and I'm kind of melting or drifting, or I'm just I feel like I'm in a different place. You do this naturally when you're sitting in front of a fire, when you're rocking a baby. So the skill here is to drift, linger, and melt. You might just drift to a pattern on the wall. You might drift to a picture. You might drift to the most beautiful memories of your life. It can be memories, all right? So what we're gonna do is go for 1 minute, take a break, and then we'll do it for 3 minutes. And if we have time, we'll do another round. The skill here is to let yourself drift, not be in a hard focus, but let yourself drift. So go ahead and drift to anything in your surroundings, what you can see or what you can hear, or go to some of your favorite memories of what would nourish me, what would soothe me. If you find something you like, linger there. And if you linger a little longer and kind of melt into it, it can be a little deeper. So we'll go for a minute, take a break, and then do it again. Drift, linger, and melt. There might feel like a lot of movement here or no movement at all. Okay, that's been about a minute. So let's just take a pause and a break. What's happening here is movement is part of a natural meditation, right? You let your awareness move where it wants to go and linger with what catches you, where you want to linger. And often it's with something that you love. So you might be looking at a family picture and be like, oh, I love this picture. And then you might feel sadness because somebody in the picture is not there anymore. And that's a normal rhythm that I'm trying to share with you tonight. And then you go, oh, back to that picture. Oh, there's somebody laughing in the next room. Let me listen to that. So let your awareness move till you find something you like, linger there and melt. Susan, I want to come back to this so I don't forget. Susan, you posted something beautiful about doing a breast cancer walk and getting over the guilt of your mother's death. That's really beautiful and powerful. Is feeling an emotion. And sometimes, like Randy, you just mentioned an emotion and said, I don't know where it came from. Emotions can be from the past, the present, or something we're worried about in the future. And sometimes we have no idea what they are and they come up. And it could feel like heaviness, it could feel like lightness. Randy, by feeling that heaviness and welcoming it, did it lighten it a little bit?
I think I needed more time.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And what I'm trying to do tonight is give you guys skills that you can practice on your own, because it's artificial to say everyone take 2 minutes, right? And somebody might need 5, somebody might be 10 seconds, I don't know. So feel free to adapt that. Okay, let's go back to this exercise again of drift, linger, and melt. You can go back to memories, to something in the room. You can feel the weight of your clothing, a blanket in your lap. Let your awareness drift wherever it wants to go. If you find something you like, linger there. And you might find yourself melting. We're going to go for 3 minutes. What would nourish me? What would soothe me? Let your awareness move. Let it drift, linger, and melt. Okay, that's been about 3 minutes, so come on back. Some of you might have said, "Oh my God, I love that." And others of you said, "Oh my gosh, my mind was racing. I couldn't stay on one thing." And that's okay. It's okay to have thoughts. They might be fast, they might be slow. You just don't have to do anything about them. You don't have to fix or change or solve anything in meditation. And you might only need 1 minute or you might need 5. So if I'm working with a private client, we'll often practice this for 1 minute, 3 minutes, and 5 minutes because you get used to being with yourself a little longer, a little longer. But you might only have 2 minutes a day. So you take what you can get. If you're going to do a guided meditation, there's plenty of them out there. Remember that in the guided meditation, you're still going to drift and then you might linger with a piece of it and let yourself melt. But this is a natural form of meditation, like you're sitting on the beach. There's a whole other thought on meditation to be focused and concentrated on something like breathing, and that's fine too. So if you go from a hard focus to a soft awareness on a continuum, the style I just spent the hour with you is more of a soft focus, a soft awareness, like sitting on the beach. You might need the hard focus kind of meditation, or you might need this. I know it's almost 7. Do you guys have any questions or comments about that last exercise or about the class or anything that's percolating that you might want to know? Feel free to unmute yourself or throw something in the chat. And don't forget, I'm used to teaching science and chemistry, so I'm used to asking questions and they're being quiet. It's not uncomfortable for me. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Bernie. 2 things. When you said about the 90 seconds with the emotions, does that mean you have 90 seconds and the emotions can kind of move out, the difficult emotion? I know you said about like integrating them and
Yeah, I'm not a therapist, but I know that these emotions, once we actually feel them, they don't need to like be still knocking on the door, for us. So I wouldn't be like, oh my God, that was 90, it's 91, I still feel it. What's going on? Just get in the habit of naming them and physically feeling them and letting them get bigger or smaller and see what happens. For some people, they have very profound experiences in a very short period of time when they actually feel them, and other people go, I don't feel anything. It's just a practice to get used to, and they don't own us as much when we can name them and feel them. So no hard and fast rules, and everyone is so different with this. I had somebody who called me and said, Bernie, I'm so angry at my daughter. I'm going through a divorce. She's siding with my ex-husband. He's a jerk. And I'm so mad at my daughter. I can barely think straight for 48 hours. I can't even think. She goes, can you help me stop being angry? I was like, no, but I can help you feel it. And so we did this exercise. And at the end, I said, how are you doing? She goes, good. I was wondering what I'm going to make for dinner. Right. So she went from angry to what's for dinner because she felt the anger instead of trying to manage it. It's exhausting to manage. Yeah. It's fascinating. Somebody else I worked with, this idea of letting your awareness move. It was the beginning of COVID. She was working from home, high stress job. Her kids were living at home now. Her mother-in-law just died. Her father-in-law moved in the house and brought a dog. She goes, Bernie, I can't even eat. I've been sick for 2 weeks. I'm going to be really sick. She said, I'm going to end up in the hospital if I can't get out of this stress mode. And I did like a minute and a half with her. I said, let your awareness move wherever it wants to go. If you find something you like, linger there. Okay, time's up. What was that like? She goes, I looked out the window and I saw a cardinal and I looked at the cardinal and I'm hungry. Her physiology changed like that because she shifted out of that stress response and took in her surroundings.
Phyllis has something to say.
Now, I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to say, I tend to do meditation that's much more structured, and this was very interesting and very effective, and it's something that I will definitely do again. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. And that full range of having the skill set of full range is wonderful. And some people need this and some need that, and some need to go back and forth. The guy who taught me, his name is Lauren Roche, Roche, and he has a great book out there called Meditation Made Easy. And it's kind of this like little manual on some of the stuff I've talked to you about. Thanks, Phyllis, for that.
You're welcome.
Cindy, go ahead.
You're on mute, Cindy.
I think it took me a long time not to, I used to eat all my emotions and I put on a huge amount of weight, and then I had to lose the weight for my health. So dealing with the emotions has been a challenge. And this certainly is, a way of going that, be more aware of it, that I thought was very helpful.
Good, wonderful.
Usually
Go
I'll
ahead.
say I'm angry, and then I go, okay, you're not going to eat. You're angry, you're not going to eat. It's not going to take care of the anger. And then I just don't deal with the rest of it. But I think this, shaking your fist or doing something, I think is an extension, and I think it's a good one.
Mhm. Wonderful. There's times for me personally, I repress so much in my life that I'll just be like, I won't even be meditating and something will percolate up and I'll find myself like in this ugly face rage, like especially when I'm driving the car and it'll come up. So I'm on this very long road trip. And yesterday I felt something come up and it came out very quickly and it was very intense. And I was like, ooh, I know exactly what that was. I don't know where it came from, but I knew what it was. Then I was like, okay, back to enjoying my drive because I physically felt it. I didn't ruminate on it in my head. I'll tell you one more story for those that you can stay a minute is I had a client who said, Bernie, I'm so angry at my daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law and my son have been at the house for too many weeks. It's COVID. I'm going to kill my daughter-in-law. I'm angry. Can you help me be not angry? So we did this whole exercise. And she says, I feel better. Thank you. But she called me later in the day and said, I have to tell you what really happened. She said when she did the release part, the imagination of moving it, she imagined taking her daughter-in-law and pummeling her face into the ground, which you would never do publicly. But she was mortified that that's what she felt. But she said, Bernie, it was amazing. I in my imagination, I imagined pummeling her. And she said, I felt so much better afterwards. When she walked back into the house, the woman I was working with, she said, Bernie, my whole energy shifted and my relationship with my daughter-in-law was saved because she expressed her anger in her meditation time and she had discharged it. And now she came in and she was perfectly fine. And so people say, Bernie, are you advocating violence? Absolutely not. But a way to discharge energy that feels right to you. Someone else is like, Bernie, I could never imagine pummeling someone. So they pretend it's a cartoon character and they go, blah, 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 right? And other people just imagine running or shaking their fist or yelling at the top of a mountain, beating their chest. And so our bodies want to discharge this energy and we're culturally taught to say peace, love, joy. So I saw another hand up, Susan K, hand up.
I don't know if anybody's ever heard of EFT tapping. I learned this many years ago from the Megyn Kelly show. You've heard of it? You have these meridian points here, 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 and it does work. I would say during the height of the pandemic, I was doing it about 6 times a day.
And it helped.
It helped. I mean, I was flipping out. I wasn't working. I had a mess going on with unemployment. I was locked out of the system, couldn't get anywhere. The only way how I got anything, I called every single politician I could think of. And I was getting calls left and right.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Kudos. There are so many tools out there now and feel free to hunt around, and be open to them and use what works for you. I'm not a guru. You are your own guru. So take a piece that you like tonight and practice it. And remember, cooperate with your biology with those quick hitters. Name, feel emotions, and then drift, linger, and melt is really a skillful type of open-ended meditation. Randy, thanks for having me, and to the Nancy Marx Wellness Center for having me again. Hopefully I'll see you all again. And
Thank you, Bernie. Again, this was a wonderful experience for all. I hope you who attended tonight got something out of this and will be able to apply it towards, especially in the next few weeks when everything starts going a little wacky. And if you have any stress in your life, think about some of these tools that Bernie shared with us tonight.
And it'll probably be good for post-holiday depression in January as well.
yeah, Mary.
Unless
Thank
that
you, Mary.
Mary.
it's something else to look forward to.
If anybody needs me or would like to get in touch with Bernie, reach out to me and I will definitely give you her contact information.
Thank you.
So have a wonderful evening and I hope to see you all soon.
Great.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays,
Holidays, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Be
Thank
well.
you.
Be well.
Bye.
Be
you.
well.
Bye-bye.
Hallelujah. Yes.